Found a list of the most questionable draft picks by every team. And who do you think the Detroit Lions' most questionable draft pick is? The entire draft, which pick that they made got the honor of being the most questionable draft pick? What do you think it would be?
Giovanni Manu.
Kang, what do you think it would be?
I agree. I think it's a hands down Manu.
Interesting. I would have gone with Sione Vaki, even though I like the pick. But I also find the pick of Manu to be extraordinarily intriguing.
They're both very intriguing.
Yep.
But I think the controversy comes as to, A, where you took them, and 2, what you gave up to move up.
So I saw this list, and it was put out by CBS, and it was the most questionable pick for every team. And the Detroit Lions' most questionable pick was Giovanni Manu. But I had this kind of epiphany in reading about it, and it made me realize, you know what? That is also a pick that people here really actually kind of like. You know? I don't think this pick gets ripped. I think this pick is kind of intriguing. More than kind of intriguing. I think it's really intriguing.
I'm fascinated by the pick.
Yep.
But could you have gotten this player much later in the draft?
You could have. But the thing I think it speaks to, though, is the overall draft is looked at as being pretty good when the most questionable pick is a pick that we've had people call up and say, I can't wait to see what this guy's capable of, given the raw tools that he's bringing to the table.
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kay.
I was just going to say, I don't think people are ripping the pick because they're the man who made the pick. That's why. If you attach anyone else to this pick, people are going to be like, what the hell did you just do? But it was Brad Holmes that made the pick, who just showed everyone his receipts from the draft before and so forth, right? That you're like, okay, Brad Holmes, I trust this guy so much that I see his vision, I see the potential. We'll let it play out. That's why I think, Doug.
Right. And Manu is one of these guys that we've seen this work before, where a player with little football experience is taken based on his physical tools, and it's worked, and it worked at that position with dude in Philly, whose name I was completely blanking on.
The offensive line.
Yeah. Jordan Mailata. So could it work with Manu? It could. They've talked about moving him inside to guard, but probably the most questionable part about it is, could you have waited to get him? But right. They don't sit back and wait.
No, they don't sit back and wait, but this is a different year too. If this is a couple years ago, they don't make this pick. They're able to make this pick because they had so few holes they needed to really fill after free agency. Mm-hmm. It was a no-brainer to go get yourself a corner with the first pick and doubling down again in the second round. Okay, we're here for it. It's no big deal. But after that, you've got this bucket list of players that are probably all gone when you look at the first round graded guys that you would have and guys that would make the impact. And now you're like, okay, all those guys are gone. Now we're going to draft, and we're going to find the guy that might be the best talent available, and we'll see what we can do with him. Or whatever. It's a project. We know it, but we have the opportunity here to be patient. This guy doesn't have to come in and play right away. We got some time to mold him. He looks like a specimen. Let's go do it. And maybe this is where we had the report last week of the different GMs that it would commented about the NFC secretly, right, from the Athletic, the article. And somebody had basically labeled Brad Holmes as being a little arrogant. Maybe this is where the arrogance comes in, because do the Lions think that they've already arrived where they can afford to spend a third-round pick and move up in the third round to get a guy that most people think is a long-term project and you could get later in the draft? But, hey, Brad Holmes is he's strutting a little bit right now, and he's going to take his shots.
It's funny because last year in the third round they did something that I think people questioned. They did a couple things that people questioned. Yeah. And they got nothing out of those guys.
Well, one was in Hendon Hooker, which wasn't going to play, which they knew, and the other was Broderick Martin. Yeah.
In year one, they got nothing out of those guys. And last year's draft was a home run. And now
4 picks right away.
They had 4 picks, and they crushed it with the 4 picks. And then this year, It's the same thing if they crush it with their first 2 picks. Because the funny thing is we talk about, likely case scenarios with Terrion Arnold and Enos Rakestraw and how, one of them feel good about one of them being a player. What if they're both great? What if they're both great picks? What if Arnold is elite and Rakestraw is the next, second round, like Darius Slay type corner? How great would that be?
Be amazing.
And I haven't even let my mind wander to that place that they have crushed it with both of those guys, which is certainly possible. You can swing and miss and you can hit it out of the park. And they got a track record right now that we have to consider that they might have hit it out of the park with both of them. Now, if Manu and Vaki don't amount to much, I'm not sure it's going to set them back at all, given what they've done so far and given what they have in-house. The Vaki thing, I would only question because they drafted him. I felt like they were going to sell him as like the college, when colleges take guys and they say he's an athlete, they just go athlete and they figure it out later. That's what I think they've got with Vaki. And maybe that's exactly what he is. But they came out and said, no, he's a running back and special teamer. I was like, he's got 40-something college carries. But they must have loved what they saw. It's funny, I look down at Twitch, and the first thing I see is somebody named Ricky who writes, I like Manu. And I'm sure a lot of people do. So,
yeah, but what do you like, though? You like the potential of him because the guy's he's from the University of BC or whatever. He just started playing football. His competition level is almost, I don't know, D2.
Easy. Are you ripping on Canadian football?
A little bit.
Okay.
But... Right? And they're talking about...
Do you hear that, Langley?
Moving positions on him already. So, you like the potential of the pick, but
yeah,
who knows?
Well, look, I think the tag of being a basketball player, too. I think people love the idea of a basketball player crossover. It's why some people started talking about the dude from NC State going in the draft.
Have you seen his basketball highlights?
Who, Manu?
Yeah.
I did, but I didn't really pay attention.
They didn't look that good to me. Okay? It's not like this guy was...
Hold on. Now you've crossed a line.
It's not like he was... he's 6'8", so he's bigger than everybody.
Yeah.
But he's not some kind of like...
He was 30 and 15 a game, wasn't he?
And maybe he got better. Maybe it was a junior year highlight I saw, highlight reel that I saw. I don't know. Clearly, this guy's a physical specimen.
That Zion feeling watching this?
He's clearly a physical specimen. He's 6'8", like barely, for how big he is, he doesn't have much body fat. He tested off the charts. Now we'll see if he can play football.